Hey YouTube, Rico Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about the NFL draft. If you don't know, I did a series on TikTok last year where I broke down every single draft class, gave you my review on every draft pick. I'm going to do it again this year, but I'm going to do one team a day. You got to check the playlist. There's a playlist on TikTok. I'm doing a playlist on YouTube as well, and I'll do every single team. So it's alphabetical by city. So the first team up is the Cardinals. If you want to see the abbreviated version of this video, it's usually on TikTok. But here we go. I'm going to do YouTube for you. I'll be talking about all the draft picks and, their fit, what should have happened, and how it should have went. So let's talk about it. With the Cardinals, first pick, you take Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he was the best player in the draft. I've watched him in post-draft workouts. I've watched him for 2 years now. This is an exceptional wide receiver, a can't-miss prospect. And I think that when you draft 3 quarterbacks ahead of him, quarterbacks are not can't-miss, right? Quarterbacks, there's no science to it. People miss on quarterbacks all the time. Don't ever tell me a guy got drafted first overall and he's a surefire thing. Don't ever tell me a guy got drafted second or third and he's a surefire thing. That is not a thing. That is not true. But Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best draft pick in the draft outside of Brock Bowers, right? As far as value goes. Getting this young man at 4th overall is amazing. Barring injury, I think he's going to have an amazing career. He needs to find a good quarterback. That's a fact. But great draft pick for them. Shout out to them. The next pick at 27 is Darius Robinson. Now, I don't like this pick. I'm just going to tell you guys that, yes, he was the last edge rusher that you could take, but I don't think Darius Robinson is a good edge rusher. I think he ran a 4.9 40 at the combine, and that tells me he's a tweener at best. He's a defensive tackle who managed to move outside. And yes, he was dominant at the collegiate level in the SEC, but it was double moves that he was winning with. He was not winning with an initial move because he's not fast enough. I don't think he's fast enough to maintain the edge or hold the edge, right? Keeping his outside shoulder free, ensuring nobody bounces on him. Things of that nature he struggles with. And if you're winning with double moves in the NFL, those linemen are fast enough to recover, and you're not going to beat them with these double moves, at least not in my assessment. So I thought it was a reach, and I don't think it's a very good pick. You could have got Newton if you wanted a surefire defensive tackle, but if you wanted an edge rusher, you needed to trade up and get one, especially with all the defenders falling, right, in the draft at that point, or you needed to just wait, and you could have got somebody else later in the draft that fit your needs. But this one just didn't feel right to me, and I get it. You get him at the end of the first, so you get a 5th-year option with him, but it really didn't move me. Then you go and get Max Melton at corner. Max Melton is an athletic kid. If you wanted a corner, a starting caliber corner, you just got Starling off of the undrafted free agent playlist. You just picked him up from the Lions. He managed to make your 2 deep. You needed a corner. You could have got him at 27. There was some great corners still left on the board at 27. Actually, I didn't even think about this. I want to pull up my chart and show you guys while I'm talking about this. When we talk about corners, my number 2 corner, Nate Wiggins, was still on the board. He was still available. The number 2 corner. So it's a shame they didn't go out and get him. But, good pick in Max Melton. I don't think Max Melton is better than Elijah Jones, who they got in the 3rd round, though. And I'll talk about that in a few. Trey Benson, home run draft pick, pretty good. One of the fastest running backs in the draft. A good player as long as his knee holds up, as long as any, no injury concerns. I think it's a good player. Isaiah Adams, I think it's a terrible pick. This is a starting offensive tackle, moving to guard, so there's a position transition here. There was a bunch of linemen taken in the 3rd round that were all reaches, and I don't think they were necessary. If you ask me, I just don't see it. I really don't. I thought it was a bad pick. I really did. I thought it was a reach in the 3rd round. And then if we're going there, Tip Ryman, the 3rd tight end off the board. This is a guy with 18 receptions last year, former walk-on at Illinois. How the hell do you take him as the 3rd tight end off the board? It's crazy. Yes, he can block. Yeah, he looked really good in his underwear at the combine. But I watched this young man play football for years. Yes, 6'7", 250. I watched him play for years, and I was never impressed with him. I never once thought, that guy is going to be the 3rd tight end off the board. Nope, not at all. More power to them. I understand. New offensive coordinator. You're trying to find 2 tight end sets. You're trying to find a blocker and all this stuff. You already have your receiving tight end. It just didn't make sense to me. I thought it was a complete reach. And no tight ends came off the board after this for a while. And that means it's a reach. That means nobody else was looking to get this guy. Okay? Now, who was looking to get Elijah Jones? The Packers were. Obviously, his former head coach is now the Packers defensive coordinator in Hafley. Hafley leaving Boston College, being the defensive coordinator. They knew this. And in the 3rd round, they know that the Packers are about to draft this guy. So they trade right in front of the Packers one spot in front, and take Elijah Jones off the board. Very good corner, very productive. And once again, if you look at my chart, when we look at corners before the draft, no one was talking about it. You see right below my picture there? You guys see right below my picture? You can't see it, but he's the second name on the list. Okay, I'll drag it down just so you can see it. Second name on my list. This is at the top. These are my favorite players in the draft. My favorite productive players, players who get to the ball, players who intercept passes, make plays. And when I turn on the tape, these guys pop on tape. Elijah Jones is great. I actually had him right behind Cooper DeJean down here as one of my favorites. If you guys didn't know, the highlights mean these guys were drafted. Highlights mean they were drafted. And I don't care if they get drafted or not. Right? A lot of the guys that weren't drafted will make it in the NFL on two deeps. They will make it in the final 53. And I think Elijah Jones is a hell of a steal in the third round. They knew it. They had to trade up to get him. Congratulations. My 10th best safety in the draft was Taylor Demerson. Guy had 10 interceptions in the last 3 years. He's a good safety. Yes, there was still good safeties on the board, though. Sione Vaki was there. There's one more that was still on the board. It escapes me right now. But if you like Taylor Demerson, more power to you. Xavier Thomas, this is what I'm talking about. You wait to get an edge rusher later in the draft, and if you just waited, and you waited till the 5th round to get one, I think Xavier Thomas is not nearly as good as Darius Robinson. I think he's going to struggle to make the team. But there was a tight end, or there was an edge rusher at that moment in time still on the board. And his name is Mohamed Kamara from Colorado State. And Mohamed Kamara was available. And you could have went out and got a baller. Now, you went and got a guy from the football factory of Clemson. So he's got to be good. He's got to be an NFL guy. Everybody's always under the assumption that the players at Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, they're all NFL ready. They're all NFL guys. And they're not. They're not. You keep going to the car dealership, Lexus, Cadillac, Infiniti. You don't want to go to the used car dealership. You don't want to go to the group of 5. You keep going to the big name car dealership because you trust what's on the lot. But I'm telling you, a lot of these guys don't pan out. They don't, and they're not nearly as good as some of these group of 5 guys that can really ball. I didn't like the pick of Xavier Thomas just because Kamara was still on the board. Shout out to Christian Jones. This is a 40-something game starter, maybe 43 game starter for Texas. Good player, offensive tackle. He can play right and left side. I think it's a quality get. Hopefully he's injury-free, and he adds depth to the offensive line, and I hope he makes the final 53. That's going to take some work. He's got athleticism. He can handle speed edge rushers. I like the guy. I thought it was a good pick. Very good value. The difference between him and Isaiah Adams isn't much, as far as I'm concerned. No, I think they're pretty equivalent. Tajon Palmer, wide receiver out of UAB. I watch film. I think he drops passes, bro. I understand, and when I say he's a jump ball wide receiver, it's because he doesn't get separation. And he's a 6'2 wide receiver. He doesn't get separation, doesn't win every jump ball. I'm a group of 5 advocate. Like, I'm all about it. Group of 5 wide receivers, I rock with them all day. And there were so many wide receivers still on the board, and Palmer was never the guy for me. Nah. So I'm not excited about the pick. I thought it was kind of a throwaway pick. And then we get to Jaden Davis, the immense throwaway pick of all throwaway picks. Jaden Davis, playing at Oklahoma for 4 years, jumps in the transfer portal, goes to Miami, right, chasing the bag, whatever it is, and he's a starter. And he made, I think, like 40-something tackles this year, 43 maybe. And when he's at Miami, he plays the game, he looks fast, he runs around, he makes tackles. But, guys, this dude is miniature. He's 5'10", 170, 180 pounds. You don't want a 5'10 corner. Like, what's he going to do at practice against Marvin Harrison Jr.? He's going to get embarrassed every day. I don't think he's even remotely close to being there. This is the 4th DB they drafted, excuse me. This is not a guy that's going to make the team. He has 1 interception in his whole college career. Played in like 50 games. 1 interception. He's had 1 interception since high school. He's got 1 interception more than me. Right? I'm telling you right now. And the 1 interception he got was back in 2019. Let's see. Who was he? His quarterback was Jalen Hurts back then, and they were playing South Dakota. And he intercepted a pass against an FCS team, but he never intercepted a pass against an FBS quarterback. Nope. No, he's just not a ball hawk. Doesn't find the ball. Little arms, little guy. Doesn't impress me at all. I thought it was a waste of a draft pick, to be honest. If I was them, Jaden Davis does not have near the upside of P.J. Jules. right? PJ Jules, Kendarian Ray, Beanie Bishop, who's another small corner, but at least he had double-digit passes deflected. I would have took Beanie Bishop over him. Or Jarris Monroe, a 6'2 corner out of Tulane. Like, these guys are way better than that guy. So, for me, it was a bad pick. But all in all, not a bad draft class for the Cardinals. They still don't have a quarterback, so it's going to be tough. But shout out to them. I'll be breaking down every single team, assessing all the draft picks and what they did when they did it. I do this for a living. If you want to see last year's playlist, go to TikTok. Click on the draft review playlist. It's above all the videos on the homepage. You'll see draft review. Okay, not draft preview, not NFL draft playlist. There's a draft review playlist. Go find it. You'll see every single team. So far this year, this is my first team. We'll do one team a day. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.